Wow, Erislandy Lara, crazy first round knockout in his very first fight. He is back a champion, his very first fight in a brand new weight class. He debuted at 160 pounds and got a first round knockout. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I want to give you my post-fight breakdown. Erislandy Lara and Cornflake Lamana. He just got pulverized. Beautiful setup by the Cuban Erislandy Lara. This was Lara's first fight at 160 pounds. He spent much of his career at 154 and fought the likes of Canelo Alvarez. I was born ready. Alfredo El Perro Angulo, Paul Williams, and a ton of other names. He decided it was time for him to move up. And I'm glad he decided to move up, because you have to understand, once you hit a certain age, 30 plus, your metabolism definitely slows down for most people and things of this sort. And it probably becomes harder and harder to make weights comfortably. And I think, as is the case, when people don't put this into perspective enough for the fighters, but just imagine fighters being in the same weight, like Lamont Peterson. He was at 140 pounds for a long time, and then he finally moved up to the 147, shortly before a couple fights. But people don't put this into perspective. Just imagine, since you're, let's say, 18 and out of the amateur program, you turn pro, and then you have to maintain and stay the same weight and stay in the same weight division for a decade. I mean, that could be definitely challenging. I know if you look at normal people, because, boxers, they don't have, I guess, what you would call an everyday job. They punch people and inflict pain for a living and get paid to do it, right? So just look at the average person that works at, let's say, a retail store or something, or a grocery store. More than likely, majority of your coworkers and yourself haven't all remained at the same weight class or the same weight for 10 years straight, but some of these fighters do that. So that's the point I'm making. Erislandy Lara was at 54 for quite a while. So I was anxious for this fight, and I wanted to see how it was going to look. And man, he just demolished him. So this could be a good sign for Erislandy Lara, because we know Erislandy Lara has the skills. He has a ton of experience, and it was a crucifying left. Some people even consider Erislandy Lara kind of a one-handed fighter, where his left does most of the damage in his fights. But at this rate, it doesn't even really matter if your left is as sweet as Erislandy Lara's left. Now, Cornflake Lamana had been previously stopped before by Jorge Cota, I believe. This was different, though. This was very early in the fight, first round, as I mentioned. And at the end of the day, he looked like it just shows you his levels. He got kind of put out of position, leaned forward, and then Erislandy Lara, his left is too surgical, and it looks like he carried his power up to 160. And it was murder she wrote. You'll be able to tell by the screen caps in this video. Brutal knockout. If you haven't seen it, check PBC's page. I'm sure they've posted it, or they will post it, things of that sort. But I'm hyped. I want to see what Erislandy Lara does in this chapter of his career. Brutal, vicious knockout. It's not much for me to break down. Now, I will say this. This is just my personal opinion. That's why you guys come to my channel. And I just don't agree with oftentimes what I hear boxing commentary-wise. After Lara knocked out Lamana, they took it to the guest commentators, Sean Porter and Mikey Garcia, who they were like, oh, Lara looked good. And Mikey Garcia says Lara's not known for his power, right? And then Sean Porter kind of mirrored these sentiments, saying, yeah, this is what people wanted from Lara. And, basically Lara wasn't known for his power. But I watch boxing all the time, and I've always known that Lara had power. Like, I've seen it. He's like super surgical with his left hand, right? He dropped E.J. Smith, I believe. I thought he beat Canelo Alvarez, and he definitely should have beat Paul Williams, et cetera, et cetera. He caused a hematoma on Alfredo Angulo's face early in the fight. you know, even after getting dropped. So he's a precision puncher. He's athletic. He's a sharpshooter. So I didn't agree with Sean Porter and Mikey Garcia, the pro boxers, who were kind of acting like this was a surprise that Erislandy Lara has snappy power. Listen, styles make fights, and the thing with Lara, the biggest criticism that people have, including myself at times, is that he does have power and he has skills and he has tools, but also coming from the Cuban boxing school, you sometimes see this where the Cuban fighter, depending on their identity and what they're comfortable doing more so, some of them lack aggression and they won't like figure a way to get a guy out of there, you know what I mean, and finish him. But Lara's always had power. So to me, that whole thing was foolish. Like just making it sound like he just stepped up out of nowhere and has power. He's hurt plenty of guys, you know. I think he hurt the Vendetti dude or whoever he fought last. So I can't wait to see what's next. Chris Eubank, he said he's fighting at 160. He just won today. Lara just won. This is a WBA, so I have to look through the rankings. Erislandy Lara got a belt. You have a former sparring partner and former person that used to train with Ronnie Shields, and that's Jamal Charlo. Maybe Jamal Charlo and Erislandy Lara can fight. But to me, I gotta see Erislandy Lara get one of the, you know, kind of like the tougher fights in the upcoming foreseeable future, because at the end of the day, he's just that good. You know what I mean? So put him in with Cornflake Lamana and Yuri Foreman and Vendetti's, you already know the outcome, unless he gets old overnight or just, you know, somebody has some crazy power, caught him and put him down and can keep him down. But surgical performance by Erislandy Lara. Drop your thoughts in the comment section if you watched it. Who do you want to see Lara fight? We're getting ready for Boxingego watch party. So basically come back for the Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola watch party. You dig? We working.